I'm going to wait till it comes up on the...
You're on already.
I'm on already?
That's on the delay.
That is on delay, isn't it? All right, well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for coming to our third quarterly meeting. Oh, there we are. And I better turn this down here. Sorry if there's feedback. There we go. Okay, so sorry about that. And so thanks again for your attendance, either physically. We do have standing room only. Justine Phillips is having a hard time finding a seat in here right now. And I know that many of you are working out or waiting to listen to this over the weekend so you and your family can laugh at us as we do this. And so before I give my report, it's kind of time sensitive because we have an event going on in the auditorium called Beyond Measure, which is a film about educational reform that Mr. Hamill has to get to. So I'm going to allow Mr. Hamill to talk about curriculum services, and then we'll go into my report, and then we'll have Dr. Shulo, who is new to the organization, give an update from student services. So without further ado, Mr. Hamill, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Bring the mic down. Thank you. Yes, as Dr. Conway said, we do have it's kind of exciting. We're doing a screening of a film called Beyond Measure, which is all about the way our schools are handling some of the situations surrounding high-stakes testing and what it's doing to to the way we teach kids. And it really does, it focuses on how some real life schools out there that are having success in this world of testing, how they've navigated this and how they've successfully gone about doing the right thing for kids and testing those things that are really beyond measure. So we're excited that we were able to bring the film here. It is the only way that the film can be seen. It has to be a special screening somewhere. It's not available anywhere, so you have to actually arrange with the person who created the documentary to bring the film in. So we're excited. It's part of our effort to celebrate Remake Learning Days. Right now we are in the middle of the week of Remake Learning Days, which it's going on all over the region. Southwestern PA, there's something like 80 events that are happening this week specifically that are directed at remaking learning, things that are showing off the things that are happening in our region that are changing the way we educate students. So this was our contribution to that, to bring the film in and share it. And we were also able to get some help with from the Grable Foundation to fund bringing the film here. It's not cheap to do something like that. So the Grable Foundation gave us the funding to be able to do that. Moving on, I wanted to put out, in this last quarter, we welcomed a new member to our staff in the Curriculum Services Division, Mr. Matt Thomas, who is our newly appointed STEM coordinator. And Matt has been here now for just over a month and has really contributed greatly to our division. It's terrific to be up to have all of our positions currently in place and everybody humming, and Matt brings with him some great experience, having been a high school principal, being able to bring that experience to us, and he's given us a whole new set of tools to be able to do our job as a curriculum division. So Matt, you'll see him taking over some of the responsibilities of Center ICE and working with our schools directly in the implementation of STEM, or STEAM as many of our schools refer to it. Also, over this past quarter, we have been building what I would call some terrific partnerships and creating some new connections. Some of these things that were just in the fledgling stages the last time we did a quarterly meeting, and many of them have really come to fruition and done some great things for us. Some of them are fairly new. One of the new ones is we're investigating a partnership with IU1 to provide a new curriculum for our schools through a place called Invention Land, which, if you're not familiar with Invention Land, it's an amazing business that's here in the Pittsburgh region. kind of a design firm, inventing incubator, idea incubator, if you will. But when you go into the office, it's kind of like walking into Disney World, literally. I mean, they have pirate ship and treehouse for offices, not your normal workplace. But what they have done is they've packaged their way of creating and inventing and turned it into a curriculum that could be used in grade 6 through 8. And IU1 has partnered with them. We in turn are looking at partnering, what that partnership would look like, to bring that to our schools as well. So it's a great opportunity. It's one of those things that we're still working on some details, but it's an exciting opportunity and one that we're sure should bring some new resources to our region. We've also created a great partnership now with IU3 in delivering what we call our early learner STEM huddles. We did several of those throughout this year, and they were tremendously successful and have spawned a few other items that we're developing along the way. This focuses on a much needed area that we've never really addressed before, and that's that pre-K to grade 2 level. We've not really done a lot in that area of STEM coordination. So this is new, and it's really a groundbreaking approach, and we've had some great success. We're looking to continue that in this upcoming year. We've also formed a partnership with Private Industry Council just next door, and been able to bring a whole new audience into our facility, getting some post-high school graduate or maybe not quite graduated students who are maybe a little lost along the way. Of course, Private Industry Council looks to give those kids direction and help. So through one of their programs, we've actually been able to coordinate some activities in Center Ice in giving them hands-on project-based elements to some of the training that they're getting over there. And we've done the first round of those. We have another round coming up in May and some new things for the upcoming year as well. So it's a relationship with a partner just next door who's always been here, and we just never were able to connect until now. So it's a great thing. I mentioned earlier Remake Learning. Remake Learning has become a tremendous partner to us and has actually helped us get a better foothold in the region, and has given us a way to share the things that we have going on as far as our curriculum development, our STEAM projects, our Center Ice, all of the things that we're doing there. They've given us a really great platform to expose the things that we're doing here and the things that we're putting into action, which is a really great thing. Another partnership is that we're investigating is in relation to E-Academy. E-Academy has been a strong program and has been running for a while now. In fact, we're 8 years plus into it at this point. And we know that we have to continue to innovate and grow and look at new ways to strengthen that program. So we've begun investigating some other services that can help that program grow, and looking at some partnerships there that might bring us to a new level. So that's in the investigative stage at this point. So those are just some of the things, some of the I think, really good projects and partnerships that have given us new direction as a division. One of the other things that we're right in the midst of, in fact, the rest of my division is over there working on them as we speak. We're in the process of reviewing for the region some grant proposals. Allegheny IU and many of the grant-making foundations in our area, like the Benedum Foundation, Grable Foundation, provide a large grant pool to our region. Our schools in Westmoreland County are eligible, as are those in the rest of the southwestern PA region. And we're on the committee to review those grants. We don't get to review our own from Westmoreland County, but today we've been reviewing grant proposals from Allegheny County and Washington County, and it's a pretty in-depth process, but one of the great things about it is that this year, this grant's been available for a number of years. This is the first year that from Westmoreland County that we see multiple proposals on the table from our county. So we've impacted our schools. We kind of pushed and helped them with the grant writing process. We held a grant writing workshop. We did 2 days of that here in Center Ice for them. And I think as a result, our schools stand a better chance of getting the grants. The grants are $20,000, so they're nothing to sneeze at. And they're highly competitive. They're usually have well over 100 organizations that are vying for about 25 grants. So we're excited about being a part of that, and actually an ever-growing part of that. So it's been very good for us. One last thing, I just wanted to throw out there. We do have, since we have some new vitality in our division. There's some new thoughts at the table with new people in the division. There are some new products in the works, and we have some creative things that I won't get into the details here, but I think by the next quarter we'll have some really exciting things to show, and some things that we're really excited about as a division. So I think that's it for us.
Thank you very much. I'll take the mic.
And I'm off to the movies.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Hamill. We appreciate the update. And so hopefully you can see there's a lot of innovative things going on with the Curriculum Services Division. And, as compared to years past, may not know that those things were going on. So that's one of the great things about the quarterly meeting, that we can kind of share information about that. Alrighty, and so I'm going to start my report, and first I need to introduce Dr. Joe Shulo, who is new to the organization. During our last quarterly meeting, we had talked about there was a new director of student services coming on board. I don't know if I was able to announce it at that point in time. It was back in February, but we are very happy to have Dr. Shulo join us. He has made a great impact in his short time here. And so he's going to have an opportunity to talk after my report, and I'm not sure if I even told him that he had to do a report today. So if you see him writing things down, it's just because he's just taking notes for the things that he wants to talk about. So I might steal your thunder in some of these, though. That's fine. But as far as my report goes, I am happy to report that the state finally has passed the budget. And it is not the budget that the governor wanted, because he just simply refused to sign it and allowed the bill to go into law. A secondary bill, the fiscal code bill that comes with that, that also fell into some political wrangling and discussion and so on. And if I remember correctly, the basic ed funding was increased by about $150 million, nowhere near the $400 million that the governor had requested. We know that the 2016-2017 state budget, they've already have started conversations. They are vowing that this budget will be done by July. They don't want a recurrence of what happened last year, but seeing is believing with that. So we'll see, because the same issues are still there when it comes to covering pensions and pension reform and so on. So as I get information, I'll share it with the group, obviously, and keep you up to date. As you all know, the organization is going through a major transformation when it comes to employees that are assigned out into the districts. The concept of transfer of entity has been what I've been working on mainly from the last quarterly meeting. And I just wanted to share with the whole organization what impact the district's Taking Back classroom has had and will continue to have on the IU. First, you need to know that there was a total of 43 transferred classrooms. So that means that there were 43 classrooms. The district said that we are going to take them back, and as part of the Pennsylvania State Code, they also take the teacher then with them. So those teachers in those classrooms will now become district employees as part of the transfer of entity. Also, as part of this, we had 8 classrooms that were closed by the districts. And so therefore, those teachers that were assigned to classrooms that were closed then participated into the bid process, and then followed by the displacement process based on placement based on seniority. As a result of this, there is going to be 3 furloughed professional employees, and that's, again, associated with the state code. And then there are 6 that are non-tenured teachers that do not have any rights under the Pennsylvania State Code, that their contracts, their temporary contracts, are then simply eliminated from that. So in total, that would be 9 that are displaced or furloughed. But it doesn't stop there in terms of the impact on the organization. As a result, we've had to eliminate 12 classroom assistant positions. We've also eliminated 4 Act 93 or administrative positions. That brings the grand total currently to 76 employees who have been affected by the transfer of entity. That's about 1 in 5 employees are affected in the organization. So it has had major ripple effects, in the organization. And we realize that there are many questions that are out there, in terms of when do my benefits end, when do I get paid by the district, and so on. And the Financial Services Department is working diligently to collect all of the questions and then communicate those out to everyone all at the exact same time. That's one thing that we are doing our best to do, is that information goes out at the same time to everyone, so no one has an advantage of information over another person. So that's kind of the modus operandi that I operate under, because I feel as though everyone should know at the exact same time, and no one should have the benefit of knowing something before somebody else does it. And it would be unfair to other employees down the line to find out their fates through the whisper down the lane concept versus just getting it out there all at the same time. We may have further eliminations depending on the early intervention funding and the debacle at the state in regards to that. Why do I call it a debacle? And that is because the governor's budget and the budget that was passed was at level funding. And so therefore, that does not increase our ability to add staff, let alone we have to then look at our current operations to see if we can continue to operate, because the costs continue to go up from pay raises according to the collective bargaining agreements, as well as our share of PSERS and other health care benefits continue to go up. When we're flat funded, we don't have any room to increase. We have to really look at what can we do with less. And Dr. Shulo and Mrs. Willis have been working with Mrs. Benikowski and her staff to look at areas of how can we continue the quality services with what staff we're able to continue to employ. So we may end up having more eliminations when it comes to EI teachers potentially, as well as classroom assistants. Potentially positions being eliminated, as well as classroom assistants going from full-time to part-time status. The reason I emailed the classroom assistants that we were delaying any decision until the June meeting is so we would then have as much information as we can to be able to make the proper decisions. Because what we didn't want to do is lay people off and then realize that the funding changed, and then we would have to recall people back. And we don't want to put people through something that they don't have to go through, if at all possible. And Dr. Shulo can add to that during his report if you feel the need to add to about the early intervention funding. Another item I wanted to share with you is a result of the controlled chaos that's going on in terms of employees and eliminations and so on. We have also had requests to take a look at the seniority list specific to classroom assistants, and also looking at time served as well as through the professional staff. We are working with the union leadership to analyze those seniority lists, because when it comes to eliminations or furloughs, we want to make sure that the correct people are furloughed or eliminated, based on the certified seniority. Because what we don't want to do is furlough the wrong people. So it's very important to us that the seniority lists are correct and certified, which they are every September, but in light of the situation and the current status of losing employees, we've been working with the union on some requests when it comes to seniority list and taking a look at that. So therefore, we've had to delay some board letters that went out that should go out to classroom assistants because of the because of the April board meeting, because we want to make sure that it was correct, first and foremost. And also, the delay of the bid sheet for classroom assistants as well. We felt as though that we needed to make sure that the seniority list is correct, so we then can execute the bid sheet properly and with integrity versus guessing. We don't guess at these things. We have to make sure that we are correct in these. So we do ask that if you have a request to review your personnel file, we are asking that you wait until after June 1st to be able to do that, because we have a number of people in and out those personnel files that we're trying to control, because we have to then get this task done. So if we have people coming in to review their personnel file, that potentially could delay us completing the task that needs to be completed so we can get the bid sheet out. So we do appreciate your patience with the ability to review your personnel files after we've had this task completed. And it shouldn't be any later than June 1st for you to be able to do that. And you have every right to review your personnel file, absolutely. The timing is important right now for us to get the task out. All right, I do have good news to share, besides the doom and gloom that I've shared previously, and that is we have signed a lease with the Hempfield School District for East Hempfield Elementary School. So we are able to continue to operate our Crossroads program as well as our ITES program, and that we have, I think, a 3-year contract with East Hempfield to continue operating those programs. And so I know in February that was a possibility that we would have even further eliminations if the Hempfield decided not to rent with us, but the board did vote and they have signed a lease with us. So we are very happy to report that Crossroads and ITES will continue to operate in that building. So that's good news. I do want to share with the organization that we've been working on our all hazards plan, which is a plan that then it provides guidance for any type of hazard that might happen in the IU, from an active shooter to a chemical spill to a fire next door or whatever it might be. And it really kind of gives us guidance on what steps that we should take as an organization to ensure the safety of students and staff and visitors and so on. And I plan to take that to the board in the end of May or June, and then an unveiling of new procedures beginning in July with the new school or fiscal year with that. So that's something that has been being worked on and has been worked on for months. And I took over this when Mr. Somerville hopefully isn't enjoying his retirement on the golf course as we speak. Two important memos that went out during this quarter, and that was about the exhaustion of sick days as well as the new coverage procedures. In terms of exhaustion of sick days, it's very important that you are responsible for knowing and going to Alio to see how many sick days that you have and vacation days, because once they're exhausted and you need to take an unpaid day, that has to be approved by my office. So it's very important that you keep track of the number of sick days and vacation days that you have. In each of our collective bargaining agreements, there are provisions for you to request an unpaid leave at my discretion. You just cannot call and say, I'm going to take an unpaid day. And unless it's an emergency that you're going to the hospital in an ambulance, or it's something that is way beyond your control, obviously those things can be addressed after the fact. But in all other cases, those unpaid leave of absences should be approved by my office. The new coverage procedures, I want to shout out to the union leadership in working with us on this, because coverage and substitutes is not only an IU issue, but it's a statewide issue when it comes to trying to find the number of substitutes and so on. And in the old coverage procedures, it was taking people that would then get another vacation day for covering, which then forced another need for another substitute, which we don't have enough substitutes to cover anyway. So in working with the union and trying to attack the problem immediately and for the future, I'm happy to report that with coverages for teachers, that you would be earning the extracurricular pay at $28.50 for coverage. And then, of course, that's the only option then. You can't, bank sick days. You can't get another vacation day. And that should help, at least in a small way, with the issues that we have with securing a number of substitutes. And I'm very happy to share that Jay, on our Today's Meet link, our back channel, had asked the question, I seen you renew the contract for 3 years with Source for Teachers. The question then would be, are they really going to provide substitutes for next school year? And that is our intention, and that's why we contracted with them again. I have been very, very poignant with them about the number of substitutes and their fill rates and ways in which they can improve. And they have taken steps to my satisfaction, at least till now, to increase the number of substitutes they have available that they can then fill our classrooms. But I do got to ask, if we're having a substitute issue, then maybe I need to ask, why are we having so many people take off? And us having the need for substitutes. And so it's kind of a double-edged sword, we have to really analyze, why are we taking so much time off, and do we have a problem, with absenteeism within the organization, which then, if we can fix that, that then contributes to then fixing the substitute. Jay then follows up with, are there any consequences if they don't? Well, if they don't follow their contract, obviously that's a breach of the contract, and then of course we can terminate the contract. But unfortunately, we are not alone with addressing the substitute issue across the county, across the Commonwealth. So I am open to any suggestions or open to any solutions that anybody has, because if you can solve the substitute problem, you're going to solve it across the state, and you're going to make a lot of money given finding that solution. So I appreciate your question, Jay, and using the back channel with that. So hopefully I've addressed your questions and so on. Okay, well, last but not least, before I let Dr. Shulo talk, our next quarterly meeting is actually then during our August 15th and Service Day. So that serves as a quarterly meeting, and I'll give an update of the state of the organization at that time. I'm hoping that you're finding these meetings relevant and worthwhile, even if you're not physically here today, and you watch it afterwards at your desk. If it's providing you more information, all the more better, I think, for the health of the organization. So before we conclude, Dr. Shulo, would you like to talk about student services? Sure. All right, go ahead. Hopefully I didn't steal your thunder too much.
Couple things, but that's all right. So in student services, we just finalized today, actually, ESY assignment letters for next year. So those actually were put in the mail this afternoon. If you were asked to work ESY or express interest and were approved by the board, you will be getting your assignment letter in the mail in the next couple of days. A new layer to that is that we have asked for you to sign one of the agreements and send it back indicating that you accept your assignment. So I have a pretty concrete idea who's going to be here in July. So you can expect those in the mail. If you haven't been approved by the board yet, your name is on the agenda in May, and you will get your letter mailed to you the day after board approval. And you know who you are. If you're in that group, I've reached out to you already this week. We are working on 16-17 staffing assignments after the transfers have occurred. Obviously, those letters went out late last week. So we are going to prepare next to post the 2 positions that we have available to post to the outside in the very, very near future. Along with 16-17 preparations, we are working on budgets in school age. Given the staff and services we still have to provide for districts, as well as Dr. Conway mentioned in EI. We have set ourselves up just today for 3 different scenarios, and we're just waiting for the state to give us our allocation to know which road to take. But we're prepared with worst case, and we're hoping for best case. As I look at Brandy, and she's hoping the same. I can see it in her eyes. Something else we're doing to prepare for next year at this point is also today went out to district superintendents and LEAs a list of services they currently have with us still, even after the transfer of entities has occurred, for them to indicate to us for certain what their intentions are for next year, so that we can work the next couple of months as an admin team over the summer to make sure that what we have in place is solid, and what tools are we going to use to provide, which you'll hear a lot from me, but that gold star service. What can we do, and what service are we providing to ensure that we are doing best practice at all times in the services we provide to our districts. And the last piece that's happening out of student services at this point that we're responding to is a lot of meetings between myself and LEAs, face-to-face, to get impressions as to what's working. And I think we need to celebrate that. I hear very good feedback on many of our programs and many of our people here. Even despite some of the turmoil that we're experiencing, people are recognizing that there are still good things going on, and we need to continue to celebrate those, push them out strong, and then build from the ground up some new programs and services that they'll come after and take advantage of. So that's where we are at Student Services.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Schuler. I appreciate that. And just to clarify one thing, I know some may say, well, didn't you just say, we have, 9, 3 furloughs, 6 that their contracts are being eliminated. How can we be advertising 2 additional positions? And they're not additional positions. These are 2 positions that no one that were eliminated, furloughed, had the certifications to be able to meet, such as deaf of hard of hearing and speech. So that's why, it seems like an oxymoron that we're laying off, but yet we have 2 positions that need to be filled. It just so happens that those who are being laid off don't have those certifications to be able to meet those. And so also, too, in regards to that, with the furlough teachers, those would be those who are tenured folks in the state, and the 6 that are not. Those 3 that are tenured, because of the transfer of entity, the districts in our IU have to hire from that pool first before they can go outside of that pool as part of the state code. So if you were wondering or questioning that, just further clarification. Alrighty, well, let me check here our back channel to see if there's any further questions. Somebody just asked if it was Purple Day today because we're wearing purple. No, but we're on the same cycle, so we have to break the cycle, and I have to do purple on Thursdays, I think. I'll give that to you on Wednesday. It is for Prince, and we should have had a moment of silence, actually, before that. Are there any questions from the standing room only room here at the IU about anything that I can help answer? Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for attending. We hope you find this very valuable. We'll see everyone officially on August 15th. The location to be determined. We haven't exactly determined it yet. But thanks for coming and listening at your leisure. Have a great rest of the day. You be classy, WIU 7. Get that from Anchorman? You stay classy.